welcome to episode number 130 of the Eavesdrop podcast. This episode is brought to you by Upstart, Honey, Trade Coffee, and Curology, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them later on the podcast. We have the behind-the-scenes superstar. Never wants to be on camera, but now is going to be on camera for a full hour. But you say you don't like to be on camera on YouTube, but you're on HBO Max. What's the disconnect there? Sorry, Paige.
Yeah.
Reed, general manager. Wait, what is your actual title?
Director of Player and Talent Management.
Yeah. So the do it all is what the do it all is what I call. Or so what's the disconnect between you not wanting to be on TV on YouTube?
The disconnect is like this is my job, like my day to day. But then on HBO Max, it was with my friends. We're cooking. It's not like attention's on me.
Yeah.
And not that attention's on me. It's on you. This is your show.
Yeah.
But it's just it's different.
Well, they see me all the time, so the attention is on you. That's like
not helping.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like when I don't foresee you getting nervous after being through like that sort of like production.
Well, there was one episode of that show where I just didn't show up
because
I was like busy, and then it was the second show.
Okay, hold on. We're just talking about a show and we don't know what we're talking about. What are we talking about?
The show's called Selena and Chef on HBO Max.
Selena and Chef.
Yeah.
And it's Selena Gomez, who is a friend of yours, who invites you as part of her crew to learn how to cook?
Yeah, it was like a show she picked up during COVID where she basically Zooms with a chef and some of her friends.
Because of COVID?
Yeah, and there's like 8 cameras in the kitchen, which also helps. All the cameras are like hidden. So it literally just feels like you're making a meal with your friends.
Yeah.
So I was on 2 seasons.
And how many seasons are there total already?
I think they're filming the 4th season. So I was on season 2 and 3.
Season 2 and 3. When she asked you to do that, were you like nervous of like being on TV?
She didn't really ask me. It was very like low key. It was during COVID. It was actually during the Huntsman. So I was working remote in LA, and I would go over to her house constantly. So since I was already going over there, it was like, hey, just plug 4 hours of your day and do this show with me. So it was an easy yes, just because it was so convenient.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's we'll get to we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But I want to make sure that everybody understands, like, you know, who you are, where you come from, and how you got to be like in the thick of it here at OpTic. So, early days. Where are you from?
So I'm from. This is really weird. So I'm from Vallejo, California. Grew up there. I'm the youngest of 4 blood siblings, and then I'm the second youngest of 7 siblings. So my dad remarried. So we have a pretty huge family. I'm super close with my siblings, especially my parents. And then throughout high school, I played volleyball and basketball. But during like high school basketball season, I was playing travel volleyball. So it was like go to school, and then I had basketball practice right after school till like 6. And
what high school did you go to?
St. Patrick, St. Vincent High School in Vallejo. And then right after basketball practice, I would go to volleyball practice from like 6:30 to 9:30. So it was like day in and day out, just like playing sports year round.
Out of the 2, which one's your true favorite?
So basketball was my favorite. I played it since I was in 2nd grade, but then around like 7th and 8th grade, I kind of got like burnt out from it. And then I started playing volleyball in 8th grade. And then that's when I started playing like competitively, like outside of high school. And then I went on to play. I didn't get recruited to play college volleyball. Okay. Like I didn't get like a scholarship right off the bat, but I like played a bunch of tournaments. And so I would email coaches and they wouldn't come, and I would email coaches, and I wasn't like a 6'7" outside hitter. So it wasn't like I was a super like, you walk in a gym and you see me right away.
Because of what? What do you
like,
mean?
because volleyball players, especially if I was an outside hitter, but I was like an aggressive outside hitter. So I wasn't like a hitter that like went up and like bounced the ball. Yes. I would like strategically like hit it off someone's hands, or like I would place the ball well. But college called Cal State Fullerton, which is like by Anaheim, I was talking to the coach and she was like, yeah, you can come out and play. So I went to college, played volleyball, but I walked on the team. Yeah.
And when you're playing in these travel games, do you record? Like, was somebody recording you, or how would you getting your tape out there? Well,
No.
how were people scouting?
I mean, yes, 100%. But back then, it was like, it wasn't something that I had like easy access to just like film. I didn't start playing. It was also really expensive to play on like the top tier teams. Like, it's not like you just go in and play. You have to like pay for uniforms. You have to pay like every time you go to a tournament, the parents have to pay everything. So it was like the really expensive teams, like also had like the video crew and like the team I played for originally. Yeah. And it wasn't so much the money, it was like the location. Like in Vallejo, where I was from, there wasn't a lot of teams in the area. If I were to play, a lot of people think I'm from LA, where I'm not from LA. But if I did live in LA, there's so many volleyball teams where it would have been easier. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Why do people think that you're from LA though?
Because whenever we go to LA, they act like Hitch always says I like walk different when I'm in it, which is so stupid.
It's also true though, and you are the plug. Anything that we need to get, we do. So, is it true, as I'm reading here some of your factoids, that your high school jersey got retired?
Yeah.
What explain that?
I don't know. I was in college. I think it was my sophomore year, and they invited me to come back to the alumni game, and I was like, yeah, sure. So I went, but then one of my current college teammates came with me. I can't remember if it was a surprise or not, but at that event, they retired my jersey. It was like this big old thing. I mean, it's hanging in there now, but I thought that was pretty cool.
It says Reed.
Yeah.
Did your coaches call you Reed?
No, I can't remember what they called me. I think one of my club coaches, which is what they call like the AAU teams, he called me Reed. But he more so was like saying it sternly, like preparing me for college.
Yeah, because that's what they were going to call you. Did they eventually call you that in college?
I can't remember what they called me. I had a ton of different coaches. One in which my freshman year of college, his name was Mike G. He recently watched one of your blogs and like texted me and was like, "Yo, OpTic," and I was like, "It's just crazy how it comes full circle."
Coach.
Yeah.
So all right, so let's fast forward. I mean, let's not go over the fact that you were a D1 college athlete. It wasn't you weren't just playing volleyball. You were actually playing D1 college. And how tall are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm like just shy of 5'10".
So 5'10". So you're actually tall. So is that why you preferred volleyball to basketball, or?
No, it was just more so like it was new to me, and so I knew that if I was going to play it in college, I wasn't over basketball, but I had been playing it since I was in second grade. I was like ready for a new sport. And actually, when I was a senior in high school, my college coach didn't let me play basketball my senior year because she didn't want me to get hurt.
Now, did you graduate college and you finished all your term and stuff?
Yeah.
You did?
So my junior year, the end of my sophomore year, I was about to transfer because I really wanted to go to Pepperdine, which is like this like beautiful school in Malibu. But it was just like so expensive, and I wasn't one of those people who could like go to college and get like an academic scholarship where everything was paid for. And then once my coach... Yeah, look at how pretty that is. Once my coach heard that I was leaving, then they gave me a full ride. So my college wasn't paid for my freshman and sophomore year, but I got a full ride my junior year.
Okay. So and then you ended up finishing it at that one school.
Yeah.
Never transferred. Do you ever think about going back? And
no.
What was your master? Sorry.
I was a communications major with an emphasis in public relations.
What does that mean?
Like basically, if you hear like "Man on Fire" in Dallas, it's like the headline and then the story below it. Like that's the kind of stuff I worked on. Yeah.
So this like esports kind of fits into that narrative, right? Like almost.
Kind of.
So how did you end up like after college? You had choices, right? Like you obviously could have gone to different places. What made you choose video games and esports?
So I actually graduated and then I interned at this social media agency in LA where they did like a ton of celebrity social media platforms where like, I won't disclose any names, but like we had clients where like it's upkeep for like talent to like post on Instagram every day. Like you probably know how that is. Like it's almost like you have to like post a lot and you got to work on content. But if someone isn't constantly doing content, whatever, you get it. So we basically did their Instagram from the ground up. Like if they had partnerships,
Yeah.
we made sure
So like a
everything
Joey,
worked.
like a Joey
Exactly.
update.
So I interned there my senior year in LA.
Mm-hmm.
So I would drive twice a week from Orange County to LA, like twice a week.
Was it a paid internship or
No.
So you're just for free?
Yeah. And then when I graduated, they gave me a job, but it was such a startup that they couldn't take me full time. So I did like part time, which leads me to your question where I was there and I loved it, but I also was away from sports for so long that I kind of wanted to get back into it. And I also wanted a full-time job. So I remember eating dinner with my dad and he like pulled up the ESPN app because like I get alerts when like my teams are playing or whatever. And he was like, pretty soon there's going to be like a section where like esports is on there. And I just thought that was so fascinating because for me, like I grew up around sports. My dad works in sports, my brother, where no one worked in esports. And I thought that was really cool. So that's kind of how because I didn't grow up, you know, going and playing like video games after school. I already had that like filled, you know? So once he kind of told me about the esports, I like was super interested.
Yeah. What obviously like as you're it's more about competition, right? You missing competition that sort of leads you down this path about also competition, not necessarily sports, but electronic sports of some sort. And like you said, your dad and your brother are in the sports industry. You guys are a very sports oriented family from what I can tell, right? Your brother is like 6'2", like a big dude, like a tank, dunking like with no problems. I was so impressed, by the way, when we were out there. But did that sort of guide you? Like, is that something like you're like, I come from a sports family, I gotta go down that route?
Kind of. I mean, my sister, like my other sister Olivia, she's also like a state champion in basketball. My other sister was really good at basketball.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of weird to say like, oh, my jersey's retired, like in my family, because my other siblings are, if not so much better than me. It's just the time and whatnot. But yeah, no, super sports focused, and like even when we don't want to be, we always come back to it. We're just also super competitive.
Well, who's your favorite team basketball?
I grew up, my dad had season tickets just because of his work. We always went to Warriors games. So I was like a huge like Michael Richardson fan. I think that's his name. Yeah. Michael Richardson. And like Monte Ellis. I remember like waiting after the game to like take a photo with him. But yeah. That's
obviously a good transition into like how you actually got into it though, right? So obviously your dad said, you know, this is going to be in ESPN one day. I think by that, what around what year was this?
I think it was like this, it was like January 2019.
So in 2019, by now.
So this was like before like the inaugural Overwatch season, like when all those I think seasons started.
Yeah. I think wasn't esports. I think esports was already a part of ESPN, but they weren't getting what it was until they started to see the amount of views that they were getting online. You know, in comparison to other sports like pickleball and all these other weird ones, right? And then when they started adding poker to ESPN, and when they started to add like all of these different like hunting and stuff like that, like outdoor sports, then it made it a little bit more easier for people to understand that, hey, at the end of the day, it is going to be something that goes through. As you can see on the screen right there, 2016 was when esports ESPN was launched. It has since sort of been sunsetted, but it did definitely have like its little place, right? Like there was a joke going around about Deserto wanting to be the ESPN of esports. So then when ESPN dropped their esports department, somebody was like, oh look, ESPN is trying to be the esports or the ESPN of esports. Long joke. All right, so you're having this conversation. How do you actually get into the industry? Because a lot of people who watch this podcast are always like, yo, how do we get in? Like, what was somebody like an outsider's into something like this?
Yeah, so it's kind of weird because like it's not so outside. My dad had a ton of athletes who invested in energy at the time, so he kind of had that like personal connection where originally I reached out to people at Energy just kind of asking for like advice or like I wanted to learn more about the industry. And I started emailing back with like Brett Lautenbach and Andy Miller, and we just kind of like got to talking. And then I basically took like 3 interviews with Brett at actual, I think Blizzard Arena at the time, not really thinking anything of it. And then after like the 3rd interview,
what was that interview like?
We literally sat in the audience and like watched an Overwatch match. And at the time, I had no idea what was going on. But I knew it was 6v6. I knew there was a coach. I knew there were strats. Like that's where my angle went.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I just wanted to know like more about like the players, or not from like a team standpoint or like a fan standpoint, I mean, but more of like the team, or like what their season looked like, or how much they practice, and like all like what their off season. Like I was just I was literally just like interested from like I want to work for them in a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we literally watched the match, talked, and then I also lived like 15 minutes away. So
From the
also,
Blizzard Arena, or
yeah. So it also was like very, very convenient.
So when you were at Energy, you were mostly working with the San Francisco Shock. Then, yeah.
So I worked from my apartment, but I was an account manager, so I worked on like all the sponsors. And I remember one time I had to go to the Shock House to get a jersey signed, and I realized they were like 3 minutes down the street from me, which in LA that's unheard of. So I started going over there more and more. So I'd go over there, do what I needed to, and leave. And then I kind of started getting like acclimated with the team, and then I was there on the weekends, and then I was there on match days. So then I started working with them more closely, but still doing all my partnership work.
Well, that came in handy for us, and we'll get to that part of the story with OpTic. But as an account manager, also obviously very involved with the team, how did that? Obviously, like a lot of them have, like they're from Korea, so they don't speak English. Some did, obviously, and then you had the coach also, who was like the translator.
Yeah.
Was it something that you were just like, I have nothing to do with this? You know, I already did my work. Let me go work on something that I'm passionate about, like seeing if I can help the team.
Yeah.
Be in that environment of competition. Is that how it happened, or?
Yeah. So it was also tough because like across from like the coaches and the players, only like 4 of them were fluent in English. So it was also, and then Chris Chung, the manager, he was fluent in both. So he was a huge help with like, and also just being in person with them, it was easy to get my job done. Some of them I had to go through people, but like Sinatra and Super and Moth, I was there hands-on, which at the time, like those players like maybe weren't so used to posting on social media. So I was also there helping them like executing their deliverables in a way.
When you started to see sort of the inner workings of the team, was that everything you expected it to be because it's competition, or did you see some similarities but not all the way through from traditional sports?
Oh, I loved it. It was so similar. They woke up, they ate, and then they had like bod review, and then they scrimmed all day, and then we'd maybe have team dinner, and then some players would kind of like, you know, go do their normal stuff, but some guys stayed around. It was, to me, it's very similar. I mean, there's some things that are different, but very, very similar.
So by this time, you were already friends with Selena? The reason that I'm asking is obviously being friends with somebody that like really famous, right? Like everybody that you work with currently, like we're internet popular, right?
Yeah.
Not necessarily 100 and how many followers does Selena have on Instagram? Well, we'll start with there. Like, how did you meet her? We'll do a brief stop on that, and you know.
So one of my best friends actually was her.
314 million followers on Instagram. I have 430,000. So if you guys want to help out, go check it out. First line of the description. So this is like so people can understand the difference, right? Because there's internet popularity, and then there's global popularity. The way that Selena Gomez is obviously like 1,800 posts, 314. I don't even know that number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is insane. So obviously not working, but being around her, like had to have given you a little bit of a.
Yeah. Well, the real thing, and this is funny because a lot of people on OpTic know her, but my best friend Teresa Mingus, like she worked for Selena back when I was in college. So for me, when I was in college, Teresa was like in the thick of working for Selena, similar to like how I work with you and Seth and all of you guys. So I would just kind of hear things from her, and whether I want to admit it or not, I was picking up things that, you know, how she worked with Selena and all that stuff, and like how she talked to her, how she presented things to her. And also one thing that was actually really cool that I oftentimes forget about, but one summer when I was off from volleyball, I went on tour with them. So I stayed with Teresa and Selena on the tour bus. We went to like 4 different cities, and I kind of saw what it looked like when an artist was on tour and like how they go to a city and sleep and wake up and hair
How
and
is it?
makeup and how she has to meet a fan. Like, I mean, it's crazy. But also in itself, it's similar to sports where, you know, you have something at 7, so you control everything you control leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Did you ever work with her or on any projects? I mean, aside obviously from the show that we'll get to it at some point, but
No, not really.
No. And going on tour, is that when you guys sparked the friendship, or how did it, or was it just like a natural thing? They're like, hey, we're just hanging out. She's got a job to do, and
Yeah.
I'm just here.
Well, it also like when I was around Teresa, her and Selena were such close friends that even when they were working, I would go with Teresa to like her Pantene shoots or her Puma shoots. So it was very much like even when we were hanging out as friends, it was work for Selena, but I never thought about it like that because we were just hanging out. And
Yeah. That's the best. This isn't that what this is?
Yeah.
Like almost on a daily basis?
No, and that's why it's so cool because I remember, I'll never forget this. We were on tour and we were kind of done. Like Teresa was done working, and Selena wanted to go to the movies, and I was like, yeah, let's go to the movies. But Teresa had worked all day, so she was like, no, I'm gonna go back. And back then, I thought that was crazy. I'm like, why would you not want to go to the movies with her? But fast forward now, I'm like, okay, I get that.
Yeah,
you want to go home and lay in your hotel bed. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's funny when stuff like that comes full circle.
Yeah. All right. So from there, obviously, like that relationship develops. Then that's when. Where I was going with that thought is like seeing that level of popularity made it easier for you to sort of not be intimidated by the semi-fame that you know that this thing does, which is one of the things that I from the original time that you started working with the Huntsman, when Andy introduced you and he's like, oh, she's friends with this person, and I'm like, oh, cool. So it's not going to be that level of like because you never know what people's intentions are, right?
Yeah.
Like some people apply to be a social media manager when in reality all they want is to be an influencer, and you're never going to have a good time, right? Because it's never you're never gonna have that great of a time if you have like that additional one. And if you're working on the side and all that, like that's one thing. But just expecting something like that to happen just because like it never does. And at least I've seen it. I've been doing this for 10 years, so like I know what it's like from situations like that. So I was like, all right, cool. When Andy and I did the deal to sort of create Huntsman together, right? What by that you were already on year 1. You just finished year 1 of the Overwatch League, right? Or was it year 2?
I think it was year 1.
Yeah. So 2019. When did the league for OWL start? 2018, right? 100%. Yeah, we're right. So you hear Huntsman. Obviously, Call of Duty is a foreign thing because you like you said, you grew up playing sports. I didn't start playing video games until I was like 26, right? So 2017. But the actual matches was okay. The inaugural season was 2018.
So I started at Energy, end of season 1.
Okay.
But I didn't start working with the Shock until 2018.
So 2018. Wait, is this saying that 2018 was the second year of the league? No, the inaugural season is 2018. So that's season 1, 2018. 2019 is when you started working. 2019 is, I think, when we did the Huntsman deal. So did you like how far? Let me ask you this: when did you start, and when did I start? I
was with Energy, I think, for like a year and a half.
Already?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I also, for the record, I had no idea that you guys were coming in.
No.
Like, I knew about you guys weirdly because I did this like thesis paper in college on like video games, and like I actually read, I don't even know what it's called, but that book that
Which
you
one?
guys
the New York Times
it has like
best-selling book?
Midnight Scum.
Oh,
it has
the
all you
New
guys
York
on the
Times
cover.
bestseller.
So I read that.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew about you guys, but I didn't like follow any of you guys on Instagram.
Yeah.
So when we started working together and you guys started bringing like Popeyes and Game Fuel and all these things, I was like,
oh, from a sponsorship perspective.
Yeah. And just the level of like, I knew you guys were as big as you were. I just didn't know the impact it would have when we all started working together.
Yeah. Was that...
Because it was crazy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it like, obviously, like, it's a different vibe because, sports, like anything else, is like you're going to see personalities that are different. I think football, basketball are very close in line, but you could argue that baseball isn't as flashy in a way as football and basketball players are. There are some, don't get insulted now, But there are some.
Well, yeah, baseball is my favorite sport.
It is.
But that's why I love it, is because there's so many guys. I love the sport itself, but I also love how there's so many guys who just go out and do their job and then they go home. And it's like they're not so... I mean, that's not why I love it, but when you think about the sport and how popular it really is, it's like, it's the sport that makes it what it is.
Got it. Yeah, I guess they do. I mean, I guess everybody does it, but them more specifically because of the amount of people that are just sitting on the bench and don't necessarily get the light.
Yeah.
And they get to live a normal life, which is fucking super cool in my opinion.
Yeah.
We were talking about Ninja. Who was it? Me and Seth were talking about Ninja. Like we were like, man, that being that famous gotta be annoying at some point.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like knowing people is dope. I love saying hi to people. I mean, like, without saying, but like in his case, the amount of it wasn't just like people your age, or no, not my age, but people that are in that age group that like fuck with you. It's also like moms who have to take a picture, dads who have to take a picture, lawyers who have to take a picture. You know what I mean? So that level like was
and especially him. He like walks around with like
the blue hair.
You can always notice him.
Yeah. Super tall. Blue hair. Okay, so Huntsman comes into be. We hold a 2-hour or how long was a meetup? Do you remember?
I don't know.
We held a long ass meetup.
Yeah.
It went on for a while. So we did a Huntsman meetup in Chicago.
It was during All-Star weekend.
During All-Star weekend, it was freezing.
It was so cold.
And you took pictures the entire day. You were there. What were you there to do? Like you were just there to like help?
I was there. I was helping like set up, but then once everything started, it was kind of unclear what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So I guess the camera, like it was like, okay, help, take pictures.
Yeah, and you just Paige took pictures for about 6 hours. Was it? Like we were there for a long time.
I mean, we were there for a long time.
Right.
The line was so long, so I feel like we just had to finish the line.
So Paige the whole time was like, all right, your phone. All right, give me your phone. I'm like, her arms must have been like so swollen by the end of it. When you saw the green wall in person, obviously, like seeing the numbers is one thing, but actually seeing like them in person, like it's a feeling, right? Like,
well, that's why it's so crazy, because when we started, I lived in LA, so it's like I was working with you guys, but I wasn't like seeing like as if it is like it is now, especially in-person events, because that was like the first one, and it wasn't even an event. It was just a meet and greet. Yeah.
No, you went to the Minnesota one.
Yeah,
you went to Minnesota. That's when I had COVID. That's when I was stuck in my room for a little bit. Like 2 days, I think, Matt, right? You were there too? Matt would bring me water and leave them on my door, and like NyQuil and shit. We didn't know what it was. We're just gonna nuke this thing. But obviously, seeing the green wall in person, did that give you like a little bit more of a oh my god, like this is an actual thing. This is like obviously it was fun, because I mean I had fun.
Yeah. No, but that gave me like and I'm not saying everything I do has to like go back to sports, but it's like what I'm so passionate about. So it's like, hey, this is my job, but also I was like, this is elite. Like like you got like, not you guys are so great, but it like gave me that, like it was awesome.
Cool. Now, obviously showing up to the Minnesota event, the inaugural home opener, or the inaugural season of the Call of Duty League, seeing that in person, what was the difference between that crowd and the Overwatch crowd?
I mean, when we had Overwatch matches, we were always at Blizzard Arena.
So 200 people.
So there was always it was like a same seat no matter what team was there. It's not like we went to different homestands at that time. But the only thing that I could compare it to, which is a testament to like you guys, is Philadelphia, the grand finals, which was like filled to the brim. It was the arena where the Sixers played, which was pre-packed, but that was a grand finals. That was like the finals. So, I mean, it's very similar, but it was crazy that it was like the first event. Yeah.
All right, give me a second. I'm going to say hello to sponsors, and then we'll be right back. The first sponsor this week, none other than Upstart, and they have been a fan and a friend of the podcast for a very long time. So thank you to everyone who has been around and has been clicking on those links and using these products, especially in this case, because what is Upstart? Okay, it can be hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel when you have high interest debt, and sometimes it can be an even harder task to ask for help. That's where Upstart comes in. Saying goodbye to high-interest credit card debt is one of the first steps towards financial independence, but the interest month after month can feel like you're in a never-ending cycle with no end in sight, and we've all been there. Seemingly out of nowhere, you get hit by an unexpected expense bill. When that happens, it can feel like the weight of the world is coming down on your shoulders, and it's normal to not know where to turn. Luckily, for everyone listening to this podcast, Upstart is here to help. And I'm going to tell you how. Upstart has helped over 1.8 million customers on their path to financial freedom. I don't know why I said freedom like that. It's freedom. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, Upstart can help you get one fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Upstart knows that you're more than just your credit score. So rather than just looking at your credit score, they also look at your employment, how long you've been at your job, to make it more about what you're able to provide for yourself than what you're able to provide for them. Information provided in your application will be used to find you a smart rate for your loan, and you can check your rate in minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000 without impacting your credit score. Don't wait. And check out your rate today at upstart.com/eavesdrop. That's EAVESDROP. That's upstart.com/eavesdrop. And I'll put the link in the description down below to make it super easy for you to just go there. Go to upstart.com/eavesdrop. That's UPSTART.com/EAVESDROP. Next, we have Honey. And look, let me tell you about Honey and how they can save you some money. Maddie here, recording this podcast, always uses it when we get pizza, when we go to Best Buy. He has that plugged in. You know why? Because Matt is not only a tech-savvy individual, but also financially aware, okay? And whether you feel good about online shopping or not, guess what? Honey, manually searching for coupon codes, it's a thing of the past. I'm gonna do that again. So anyway, thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free shopping tool that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best ones that fit your cart. How it works? Well, imagine you're shopping in one of your favorite stores online, right? And when you go to the checkout, you hit the Honey button appears, you click that button, and within a couple of seconds it searches the entire internet for a coupon code that can save you something nice. If Honey finds a working coupon, you'll watch the prices drop right in front of you. Okay, Honey doesn't just work on the desktop though, it also works on your iPhone too. Just activate it on Safari on your phone and save on the go. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on a bunch of cash. And by adding it, obviously, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this show. So certainly appreciate you. I'm going to put the link in the description. Joinhoney.com/eavesdrop. That is JOINHONEY.com/eavesdrop to get Honey for free and start saving money. And thank you for using it because it shows that you show support to this show also while doing that. All right. Third, we have Trade Coffee. I love coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. Not as much as I used to, but I do. What is Trade Coffee? Well, Trade Coffee sends you freshly roasted beans from 60 of the country's best craft roasters. Small businesses who pay farmers fair prices to substantially source the greatest beans from around the world. Whether your friends call you a coffee snob, as I do Hitch and Blake, or you just know when coffee tastes like really good. That's me, right? 4 Splendas, coffee, and a little bit of milk because I'm from Mexico. Café con leche is con leche for a reason. So, because the truth is this, my coffee taste is different than yours. So what this also allows you to do is to try as many options as possible for you to narrow down what is the perfect coffee taste for you. Just answer a couple of questions and you'll get your own personalized variety of coffees delivered fresh to you and as often as you would like. No gimmicks. Trade delivers a bag of freshly roasted coffee as whole beans or ground, however you brew it, at home. And they guarantee that you'll love your first order or they will replace it for absolutely free. Trade has delivered over 5 million bags of fresh coffee with over 750,000 positive reviews. That is insane. 750,000 people have tried this and have left positive reviews. Think about the other people who had also positive experiences, but they were just like lazy and not. I was one of them. Right now, Trade Coffee is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off of your first order, plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/H3CZ. That is more than 40 cups of coffee for free when you get started. Again, that is DRINKTRADE trade.com, H3CZ, to get your first $30 off. Get started by taking their quiz at drinktrade.com/HECZ and let Trade find you a coffee that you will love. That is DRINKTRADE.com, H3ZZ for 30% off, and I'll leave the link in the description to make it super easy for you, okay? For you to go get it. Curology is up next, and you know me. You know I care about me. You know I care about my hair. You know I care about my skin. I'm 42 years old. I gotta be on maintenance, okay? Maintenance. So, guys, if you want ultra easy skincare that is actually made for your skin, Curology is the way to go. You'll get custom prescription cream made for you by a dermatology provider for your specific goals, whether that's tackling acne, clogged pores, skin texture, dark spots, fine lines, or something else. You know what I need help with? My crow's feet. But you know what? They're also scars in a way of how much fun I've had. These only come from smiling. These don't come from being sad. These come from smiling. That's what I need help with. So that's what I would probably focus on if I was to take this test all over again. Get started with Curology just like I did with a free 30-day trial at Curology.com/H3CZ. I'll put the link in the description to make it easy. But it's Curology.com/HECZ with a 3. Just pay for $5 of shipping and handling, and it'll be at your doorstep, right? You obviously have to take a test and make sure that you speak with someone to tell them what you want to focus on. But again, that is Curology.com/H3CZ to start your first 30-day trial for free, and you can cancel anytime. Prescription is obviously subject to consultation. But go ahead, get on the road now. Don't wait until it's too late. If somebody told me in my early 20s that I should start taking care of my skin, do you know how handsome I'd be today? It'd be unfair. I'm kidding. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get back to the podcast with Paige. So again, huge shout out to Upstart Honey, Trade Coffee, and Curology. All right, so you are living in LA. You're obviously having a blast. You're doing your job. You like working. What I noticed about that one event though is like you were there to work. There was no like sitting around. You were like always looking to do stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's the OpTic vibe right there. Like that's why this is gonna work. Anyway, you're living in LA. Right at the time?
Yeah.
Paige from LA, living out there at the time. You're doing your work. I get lucky and I'm able to get OpTic back, right? And there was obviously like I had to make a decision, and I spoke about it at length with Andy. Andy being super cool, obviously, like understood, and then we sort of went our separate ways. In the transition, he said, hey, in the transition, I don't even know how the conversation was brought up. I think he said, it's like, is there somebody from here that you want to take, or, like what's it look like? And, at the time, obviously, like we were both like kind of bummed out about the situation. So it wasn't like hey, who do you want to take? It was more like, all right, like, is there anyone that you want or anything? And I said, I'm like, yeah, I didn't think it was going to be a possibility, right, to get people to just come with me. The other thing is like I was about to go on a fundraise by myself, and I had an amount of months in my head that I was going to be able to afford to do something like that, right? When he says, yo, like, who do you take? I wasn't really planning on saying anything, but I always knew that you would be like perfect to come with, because the players by that time had already gotten so used to you being there and like actually like putting in the work that like there's nothing ever missing from them. If they needed something that would get done, that I was like, man, we need somebody like that, because before you, the only manager that we ever had that the players were like cool with was probably like my brother. We tried D-Treats once. We won a championship with D-Treats, actually, a world championship, but he was out partying and shit. Like, he didn't have bananas and all that stuff. So I'm like, all right, this is like perfect. So I told him, I'm like, look, Paige has been working with the team very closely. So like, if you're asking me if I would want to take someone, I'm like, I'll take Paige, right? I'll take Paige, and I'll take Joe, right? An operator. So he was like, all right, ask her if she wants to go. Then obviously, like, I won't get in the way, which is super fucking cool of him, obviously, again.
Yeah.
And I did. When I told you what was happening, before I even asked you to come with, what was your first thought when I said, I'm like, yo, this isn't working? No, I'm kidding. It was working, but there was a separation that has to happen.
Truthfully, I was like really bummed. Like when you first told me, I can't remember like what point or what even month it was. But like, I was just super bummed. I was like, dang.
So
like,
I was there for a Mavic shoot, and you drove me there, and you picked me up to take me to the airport.
Yeah. So I think when you originally, you told me then, but then like a week prior, you kind of like dropped the news like, hey, this is what's going on. So I was like, damn, like that sucks. Like, and so when I picked you up from the airport, it's so funny because like that car ride, I feel like there's not a lot of times I would want to come like drive in LA traffic, but something about that day, I was like, you know what, I need to pick Hex up and I need to bring him to the airport. And like that time kind of like sealed the deal for me because I already knew that I had put so much work in with you guys and I wasn't in person with you guys. So once you kind of had told me like, hey, this is what's going on, I knew right away. I was like, I'm coming. I never thought I'd move across the country, but like the culture that's here and like the people and like the staff and like how you've kind of like, I don't know, like brought everything together from like the talent to like the way we all work to the way like you talk to all of us, or like there's not, it's pretty unmatched. So like it kind of was very easy. I know
I work with cool people. That's like, as much as I like to take credit, like mostly in jest about because of the funny character that I play for myself. Like I couldn't do any of this if people weren't cool enough for me to just be like, you know, like awesome, right? Like for me to work for them in a sense. So for somebody who doesn't work for OpTic and they were asking like a behind the scenes, like how would you describe your work environment? Like like how do you even describe it?
Right now?
Just in general, because it's not what you've ever done before. I can guarantee that to anyone.
Like, what's the work environment here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's fun, and then it's serious, and it's like there's never a feeling where you're like unsure of something. Like you can always go to somebody. No one's ever really like, if someone's getting on you, you're like nodding your head like, yeah, I know, I did that. Like, and then, but it's like the honest vibe where I think it's so fun to work here, and like not fun, but like it's like motivating, you know?
It's not fun?
It is fun, but you can't just say fun when you're at
yeah,
work.
You can. It's video games. It's esports. It's competition. Yeah. It's game, like a basketball game. Game sort of seems to be forgotten when we're talking about the industry that we're in. Yeah. Even in traditional sports, like it's still a game, and it's still fun. And I'm only saying that because I just watched our Valorant team play against the Japanese team Zeta, and yeah, at the end, obviously, we ended up winning, and the Japanese players were super sad. But in every single round that they won, they were just having the most fun ever. Yeah. It was a purity of competition that I saw in that team, and it made me make a mental note of it to appreciate like that sort of mentality and approach to they made it far, right? Like it was either going to be them or us. Like we're on a Saturday right before the championship. If they beat us, they go into finals, right? So it's not like they were just having fun. Like they're serious fucking professionals. But at the same time, I don't think that they lost track of the fact that it was fun, right? Like they would high five each other and they would smile and they would have fun. I don't know. It was weird. It was a weirder feeling, right? So I don't even know where we started. We were talking about the work environment.
The work environment, yeah.
So like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with fun, right? But do you work like? Obviously, we went through a fucking tough year, right? As we were when you came over here, I was on my own, and you did. You had a lot of work on you, like a lot of work on you. You did player management, which can't be easy, right? Obviously taking the players, taking Nick to like get furniture, moving Nick, right? Like your brother flew in and helped you guys move Nick. Like the amount of work that you were doing just from a personal level with the players was awesome. But then on top of that, you handled all of the sponsorships. So it wasn't a moment ever where you weren't on a phone call like handling all that stuff. How tough was that year for you?
I mean, honestly, looking back on it, it was tough, but it was exhilarating. Like you would like finish work on like a Friday, if there was nothing going on the weekend, and it was just fun to look back on all the stuff we did. You know what I mean?
You felt like fulfilled.
Yeah,
like,
and it was different every day. Like where something didn't come in front of us, or like me, Matt, or Roger, and we were like freaked out by it. We were like even you, like we were like, okay, we're gonna get this done. So yeah, I mean, it was stressful. It would have been stressful if I wasn't here.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was it was good being here.
Yeah, we all like when we were going through this, like I almost didn't say it's like, yeah, you have to move,
Yeah.
right? But when you said it's like I'll move if I have to, I was like, okay, awesome, like this is gonna work,
Yeah.
because the thing about OpTic is that it works better if everybody's in the same room, and not necessarily like be like the work's gonna get done, right? Like there's never a day where I'm okay with anyone just sitting around not doing shit, right? Like but if you're talented or a player, obviously you can do whatever the fuck you want, right?
Yeah.
As long as you show up to content and your practice is good. But aside from that, like no one ever like walks around and sits around and just like does nothing. There's always something to do.
Yeah.
So immediately when you just like got thrown into the fire and you were sort of like managing the amount of shit that you were managing, because it wasn't just those three things, right? Like on top of that, you were also booking everybody's flights. You were also like staying on top of like all this. It was a tough year for sure.
Yeah.
But it just is a testament to, one, the way that we operate here, lean and mean, and two, the fact that you fucking belong to be here, because people would have gave up. Like people aren't down to do the extra work, not necessarily for free, but for a bigger picture that isn't just necessarily just work. Because as much as esports and everything that we do here is a business, like you will not be successful in this if there's no passion behind, whether it's the competition, whether it's the content, whether it's the atmosphere, whether it's the team. Like there is a thing that we're all here to sort of grow, and that's the OpTic Gaming logo. Were you sad when you saw the Huntsman sort of logo go away, or? Cause had you heard of OpTic up until that point?
Only
because
from
of the book and shit,
only from that book.
Yeah.
But like not until I was like maybe my senior year of college. I was sad to see it go, but it also at the time was so cool because you were getting OpTic back. And so like even Hitch, I forget when he said it, but he was like, you haven't been at an event where it's like OpTic. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Because like back then it was Chicago, it was Chicago Huntsman. So technically it wasn't OpTic, but it was. But yeah.
No, I mean the green wall was always there, but there was something missing, right? Which is why it was like this gap, and some people understand it, but the majority I don't think do what it felt like in here without it, right? And although I always say it, Huntsman offered a safe refuge for everybody to sort of be under the same roof, it was not the same. And
I can't imagine. I think I said it to you like a month ago, but I was like, I can't imagine knowing you during that time.
Was it that you didn't know what I was like with OpTic, so it was like understanding it, and now that we do have it, you understand it more?
Well, no, I understand it. I'm just saying you have it back now. I can't imagine you not having it.
Oh, like yeah.
Like knowing, not from like watching your videos, but just knowing you personally, I can't imagine you not having it.
It's weird, right?
It's very weird.
Yeah. I mean, think, and imagine having to bottle it in to make sure that everybody's like, yo, it's cool, we're good.
Well, even how much like Jude, like how much like seeing how much stuff like OpTic you guys have in your house, or like how on the whiteboard she's like OpTic plays. Like I just can't, from like that level. It's just it's weird. It
was a weird time for sure.
Yeah.
But we are here now. Obviously, a lot of people want to work and intern and like do this sort of work. If we ever did internships for OpTic, which obviously I've never been a big fan of, because I want people to get paid to do the stuff, but I also want them to be passionate about the stuff. And there's no better phrase in here than sink or swim, right? It's as simple as that. You're either gonna last or you're not gonna last, and that's the motto. What would you tell somebody who, obviously there's a bunch of them, right, that would like to work here? What is like a piece of advice about OpTic specifically that you would give someone?
Oh man. I mean, I think truthfully, like even if you were like passionate about like one game specifically, like if you were to be an intern at OpTic, like be willing to do the like non-glamorous stuff, or like stay here on like a Sunday night and like prepare for the week, or like just do things where maybe it's not like something where it can show, but stuff where you're doing small things to make something larger happen in 2 weeks. I think that's like, and it's tough sometimes when you have to like put your head down and work on stuff where maybe someone doesn't know what you're doing, or like, you know, you walk around and like they're like waiting for you to like give an update, but you know what you're doing. Like you have to have that confidence to like know you're working for something much larger. What
about women? What would you tell women?
I mean, I don't know. The thing about me though is it's like I only have one brother, but it feels like I have a lot more. But like being here and like with like all the guys in OpTic, they're literally like, I can I can like joke with them like I could joke with my brother. Like I haven't really had that feeling of like, oh, I'm the only female in here. But like when I take a step back and I'm like, oh wow, like that is kind of like, it's not crazy, but it is just not the norm. But yeah, again, just like coming into a situation knowing that like no matter what it is in front of you, you can get it done. With all that other stuff off the table, I think you're gonna be fine.
Cool. Obviously, experiencing our major here at home.
I didn't.
Oh, because your foot. Holy fuck! So so you weren't there for the drums and shit?
No.
Holy shit!
Yeah, I know,
Paige.
it's really weird.
Oh my god, you missed out. Were you fucking sad?
Oh yeah.
Sitting on your couch with your foot up.
But the only thing that made it better was I was on pain meds.
On pain meds?
So I slept a lot. Because like they did a really good job, like Rambo, and like I wasn't in all the team group chats, so it wasn't like I had that FOMO feel where like I watched the matches, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna ice my foot.
Yeah, you're around so much that I forgot that you weren't there.
I know.
That's the other thing I think that you should tell people is like do all that work, but do it like we're out of the way. You know what I mean?
What
like
do you mean?
Just like just get it. Don't be like, yeah, I did this, and get in the way of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is something that a lot of people like don't get, right? Like it's just they immediately think that they're going to be in the vlogs, or the camera's going to be on top of them, and like this, that, and the other. All right, so you weren't there. That's right. You had your thing. How did you break your foot? So for everybody that doesn't know.
I walked out of the HECZ quarters and I was walking to lunch with Roger and Shay, and I made it about 32 steps, and like on my whatever step, I just slipped on ice, black ice.
And then you landed.
I mean, it's hard to say because I was walking, so it's not like I caught air and flipped. I just was walking, and then my right leg went in, and then my body came down, and so it pushed my foot the other way, and I basically like wishboned my bottom of my leg.
And now what do you have in there?
I have like a bunch of
metal.
Like metal. I have like a big pin with like screws going through it.
So you're not. So are you like? What's like therapy like, and like how soon are you gonna be able to like walk?
I could put a shoe on like May 4th.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just like trying to get my mobility back. So I can put weight on it.
Yeah.
But like I can't move my foot around as. I definitely can't run for like 4 more months though.
Yeah. When we were making not fun of you but fun of the situation like on Twitter with like the foot, it was like, look, I'm Paige.
Oh no, that was good.
That was good, right? A lot of people were like, that's so mean, like why are you doing that?
No, the thing is I was already like, I remember we had such a long day that day. Like we were gonna go to lunch and like talk about something, and I remember just getting hurt, and it just like took my whole day away. But no, even Rambo texted me that morning and was like, hey, I think we should cancel content. The weather's bad. And I had already broke my foot. And I was like, yo, man, all good. Yeah. I just broke my leg.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was crazy. But it's crazy because everyone from like you to like Dashy, like everyone was like checking on me. And I was like, that's dope.
Yeah. And then what happened? And then you're like, all right, that's enough. I'm good. Like, stop fucking asking how I'm doing.
Well, now it's like, it's nice, but like, I already don't like when people like make things about me. So it was like, once the injury kind of like, it was nice, but I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Noted. You guys care. Cool. So if obviously esports, if your dad and you never had the conversation where he's like, yo, esports is going to be on this ESPN app one day, like what do you think that you'd be doing right now? Like what's the ideal dream job for you? I mean, obviously this one, but
I don't know. I honestly I was about to go work for the Lakers. Not about to. I had to interview.
Yeah.
I'd probably be working in like a base. My ultimate goal is like I want to own a sports team, whatever that looks like. So I know there's like a ton of stuff before that, but probably staying in sports.
What do you think owning a team means? Like what about owning a team? Like obviously that's some boss ass shit. Like I'm gonna help you.
I mean, I just love like dynasty teams, like teams that like year after year, maybe they don't make the playoffs one year, but the next year they're like still in that conversation. So like, I don't know, just like the players to the staff to like how things are done. Like I think like from an ownership, like the front house of like a baseball team. I think everything works. And so I'm just interested in like all of that.
Is that why you're so willing to do just about everything and every part of the business that we're operating here? And I guess this is like good training for that, right?
Yeah,
Because
well, if I knew it was a good fit, because if I was only supposed to talk to players every single day or only supposed to talk to sponsors, I'd be like, this isn't it. You know, I want to tap into other departments and crossover and help someone one day. You know what I mean? Like I like that.
What kind of team? Like what's ideal team?
Like sport?
Yeah. Would you say you want to own a team? What, like, in what? A team in what?
I think like 3 years ago, I probably would have said baseball or basketball, but now the opportunities are endless. Yeah. Honestly, any sport.
Yeah, of course.
I think it would determine like if you and like Seth or like two of my friends from LA and another friend from like whatever were like, yo, let's go in on this team. I'd look at all of you guys around me and be like, okay, no matter what this team is, we're going to make it successful. So it's kind of like having like the right people around you, I think it makes
number one thing.
Yeah.
What have you learned? Let's start with what is your favorite moment of OpTic thus far, and then we'll go into like what have you learned about like the green wall OpTic and the whole universe of OpTic. But we'll start like so far your favorite OpTic moment, and it could include Huntsman.
Like favorite moment,
just in general, like where you were like, man, I fucking love being here.
I really like that you trusted me to get Dashy's visa.
Okay.
Looking back on that, I was like, why did he trust me? Not trust me, but like it was a very important thing. And like that is something I look back on where I was like, that's tight. Like we did that.
I was like, man, I can't do it. Right.
Well, it was cool because it was something like now when we need help with stuff or like I know I have like experience to fall back on that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That is true because now you didn't just do it for Dashy, right? Like you got Josefo's visa stuff too. So you did that too, right? Like you were like
that was really fun. My favorite moment though.
That was fun, like being on a phone call, like chasing down papers with the pressure of like, hey, Dashy.
I mean, no, it was cool. And I didn't know Dashy. And I don't know. But that was like a favorite, I guess, like weird like work moment.
The fact that her favorite moment was like working is like, I thought she was gonna be like, oh shit, we were doing this, you guys were doing content this one time, so we got to go somewhere and that shit was fun. She's like, no man, it was cool that I was like stressed out of my mind, like trying to get this shit done.
I know. I'm trying to think, what's my favorite OpTic moment? I don't know. I freaking would say the major. I keep wanting to say the major, but I wasn't there. Honestly, probably like finally going to events and like hearing the green wall. That's dope.
Yeah. When did that happen? Well, I guess Minnesota counts, right? Because it was super
Minnesota,
loud.
but also like at USC last for champs. That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The league, obviously, there's 12 teams. There is structure here. There's structure in Overwatch. How did you envision the inside operations of a league to be the way that they are right now, or like what did you envision from that? Because oftentimes, like you imagine this job to be like this one thing, and if you were to tell me, fucking call it a decade ago when I first started, to do full-time OpTic, if you would have told me that in 10 years, your job is literally going to be to stay on the phone and be on the phone and try to get as many people together as possible to do one thing, I would have been like, that's work. Like talking is work.
Yeah.
And, obviously there's a little bit of more to it than that, but like I would have been like, that's great. How can that be work, right?
Yeah.
Obviously with the league and the way it's structured, like has that been like a shock to you, or is that what you envisioned?
It's kind of what I envisioned. Yeah. It also helped that like the same league worked across Overwatch and Call of Duty, at the time. But it kind of was what I expected.
So when you said that you were going to apply to the Lakers, what job was that for? Was it for marketing and PR?
I didn't. I had no idea. I was just trying to get my foot in the door. I was even going to try to apply for like Stance socks, because they were the official sock of the MLB and NBA. So I was like, maybe I can come in like that angle.
So you were like from the beginning, you're like trying to figure out how to hustle your way in there. That's cool.
But I mean, it's not like I like did anything like hustle worthy. I just was like, I know they're the sock. Like I'll try to go in that way.
Yeah. When you said I'll move to Texas if I have to, did you realize like what you were saying? Because like you have all your, you know what I mean? Like it's a big fucking move.
You know, it was crazy, but I love it because every time either like my siblings or my family comes out here, there's no question. Like they get it.
They get what?
Or like even when you had like the Pine Park launch and like a bunch of my friends came to that, and then even after Selena invited a bunch of like everyone to go to the Nice Guy, like everyone was like, okay, we get why you moved. You know what I mean? Like because like you guys and like just the culture and like
we're
the people.
Special. Is that what you just say it?
Yeah. But no, it is pretty crazy. Like everything happened so fast and I knew I wanted to do it, and I'm not very like impulsive, but like I've never lived out of California before.
Yeah. Or as far away from your siblings?
Yeah.
You guys are super, super tight.
Yeah.
So that had to have been like a decision. What did they say to you when you were like, hey, I'm going to go do this over here?
They were like, oh, wow, really? But like they didn't ever question it. Like even my sister was like, I'll ride with you.
Yeah.
But it was like the aftermath where like, I'd be like talking to my dad and he's like, yeah, Blake really misses you. And I'm like, oh, really?
Blake being your brother.
Yeah.
As you guys were driving, your sister and you across the United States from Los Angeles to here, at any point in that long drive where you're like, man, like this is like, there's no turning back now. Like,
no, I mean, I never had that feeling. Also, like while I was driving out here, me and my sister would switch spots, and like I would still be like making sure, like having players like tweet stuff, so it didn't feel like. Maybe if they were to say like no and do something abrupt, then I'd be like, oh crap, cold feet. But no, I didn't have those feelings.
Obviously, in the thickest of times, when I was saying, I don't know what I'm doing, were you ever like, oh shit, that does not? No. Yeah, I do say that a lot, but I just say it because it's funny. Where do you see? And I never asked this question just simply because it's like such a weird question, but like. You being here and being so ingrained within like this group, like where do you see, or where would you like to see us go next? Like if we were gonna do something, what would you like to see?
I mean, if all of this was in LA, it'd be a perfect story. Yeah. Because then I'd have like my family down the street, all my friends. But I don't know. I mean, I would like to see like it branch out to being like different, like more like a footprint in different cities, I guess. But it's tough because like you can't be everywhere. Like Maniac can't be everywhere, and like so much of that is why this is so great, is because we're all together. Yeah. So that brings me to another question. When you said Maniac, I'm like, if you were to count the amount of players that live here and content creators that live here that call you and need shit from you on a daily basis, does that ever get like too much, or is that something that you're just like, it's like something I gotta do? Because it's a lot. Like I know what it's like because I was that person, right? And I would have never entrusted anyone with that job to be so close to the players if they weren't gonna be here for a long time. It's just like not the way that I operate. So does it ever get too much? Like I never ask, right? No, I love it. And I almost get offended for players who don't ask me for stuff. Yeah? Yeah. You're like, yeah. Was it me? Because it's like, I'm here to work. So it's like, if you're doing something and you need something, it's not like you're asking me to go do something and it's like, I get offended by it. Like, I want to make your life easier. Yeah, whether you have a match or whether you have content, like I want to help out. Luckily for you then, none of these guys are ever going to be like, is she working right now on something? They're always going to be like, Paige, we fucking need this shit. Yeah. You're like the Swiss Army knife, like Maddie. Maddie's like a perfect Swiss Army knife of like, he just does everything. If you played and you also set up setups, like you'd be like Matt. Well, I told Matt that I'll pay him to teach you how to set up stuff. How to do all that. Did she? Don't teach her, man. She's got enough to do. All right. Any closing comments? Did we cover something? Did we not cover something that you wanted to talk about, or is there something that you'd like to say? I know, and thank you obviously for coming on, because I know it's like you don't like to do this thing, but I also didn't have a guest this week, and I'm like, yo, I knew that I was gonna have you at some point, and I'm like,
Paige is like the only left in the hex quarters that hasn't done one.
It's good that Matt asked me like the night before, because if I would have known about this, I would have been like, what can I plan to no, but this was great. I mean, it's been like so fun working with you guys and everyone here that
obviously you've seen the quality, right, of the cooking show that you guys do, and it's on HBO Max, right? Obviously, like, and she's not getting paid for us to promote here. We're not promoting the show, but you should watch the show. When you who was it? Somebody was with you at Target and some girl recognized you. She's like, "Hey, you Paige?"
Yeah, but I don't. So I was with my dad and we did like the self checkout, and I had started walking out, so I didn't see it. So my dad is the one who told me, which I didn't believe him for a while, but yeah, someone recognized me from the cooking show. Yeah. And it took him like a day and a half to finally convince me that someone actually did that.
I mean, it's viewed by a lot of people, right? It's 3 seasons, and if there's one thing I know about fucking HBO is that they get rid of shows, good or not, whether or not the audience is there. Like 100%. Yeah. Rome, Deadwood, How to Make It in America, Need I Continue, HBO. So obviously seeing that level of production, as I was saying earlier, like in the production that we do here with the tiny little group that we do,
I think they could do the same.
Yeah.
I actually sent Matt a picture of like last weekend. I was home for Easter and I saw the set and I was like, I'm going to tell my kids Matt Craig built this.
Yeah. All right, so you're not going to be in this season because of your foot, unfortunately. Yeah. So what was the thing? Just insurance?
Well, no, I mean, it's just I wasn't walking for so long that like they plan ahead, and it didn't make sense because like last year you let me fly home, and this year was unprecedented times.
Yes, it was, and to top that off, you added a foot being broken to it.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why it was so insane.
Well, Paige, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for hopping on the podcast. Everybody, her information will be in the description down below. Don't overwhelm her, okay, please, because we don't need her running away. So yeah, thank you. Unless you have any closing comments that you'd like to say?
No, I mean, thank you. I think this sounds so weird, but like, thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I think that like a lot of times it's hard getting into the job you like and not having to like find your way up, but like this is like in a way my dream job without knowing about it. You know what I mean?
I do.
So it's dope.
I do, and thank you for saying that. All right, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Thanks so much to the sponsors, Upstart Honey, Trade Coffee, and Curology, for sponsoring the podcast. We'll see you guys next week. I think Castro from our good boy Castro is going to be coming to the studio to say hello, and Scump and I will be doing the podcast very soon here. Episode 100, who knows? Who knows when I can get the Dynasty team back? Who knows? We'll see you guys later. Goodbye.